Hey everyone. Hope everybody's doing great after all these eclipses and the new moon and the equinox. I found it was really heavy duty energetically. Had to do a lot of clearing. Had a lot of always doing inner work. It seems like it never stops. And then this being the year of the snake, 2025. The last time it was the year of the snake was 2013. So it has a lot to do with shedding old skin, so to speak, and a lot of wisdom and intuitive. I think we've all, our intuitive and psychic senses have been like turned on double time. I know for me in the dream world, and deciding what we want to keep going into the next year or months ahead. I think it's going to trickle out and we'll be processing and releasing. I actually had a dream that, or let's say I was in the astral, that I was in a ditch digging with a shovel, and up above the ditch was a casket. And I was looking up at the casket. I really feel, because I have been really working hard and trying to work through my childhood dynamics and all the triggers, anything that triggered me. So I've been trying to work really hard at that. So I contributed that to a death of the self. So sometimes we have to go through a lot, or a death of the ego, a death just completely of ourselves, in order to, when you're releasing, in order to allow the new to come in and the new you. It almost is like that old part of you, a lot of situations, a lot of people, I find that I don't connect with as much as, that don't fit. The energy doesn't fit. Your frequency raises, so you're not going to always be on the same frequency. Ones that aren't on your frequency, you're going to notice are going to drop off. And the other message I got, which is, I feel it's important. I've known about this a long time, and this might not resonate with everyone. But it's, even putting the twin flame scenario aside, divine feminine, divine masculine. So, our ancestry, the dynamics of that were changed. I think at one point way back, the women were respected, and the men maybe were able to show their feelings. Things are starting to shift. So in order to bring peace on this planet, and get rid of the fear, the opposite of fear is love. So what I feel is happening is that we need to bring love into the planet. So what does that mean, or what does that look like? When we come in and we go through, the normal 3D and the contracts and the going to school, then you get out, either you get married, go to school, get married, or you go off to college. And, looking at my parents' dynamics, they never should have been together. And I think that's happened with a lot of couples, or one grows and one doesn't grow. And their frequencies change, so they don't match anymore. Well, now it's a time where I feel that as a divine feminine, that we need to rise. We need to work, and what I say rise means we need to work on ourselves. And we need to work out what doesn't fit anymore. And so you can be a clear vessel, you can have a higher frequency. So when you do meet your divine masculine or counterpart or twin flame, whatever category you want to put it in, I mean, some people are funny about the twin flame thing. I've always gotten information about it, so I've known about it for many years. You know, it's it's funny, you can be in a relationship, but you always have that longing. You don't always. I'm saying I want to rephrase that. I always had a longing for something that wasn't here or someone. And sometimes that's our aspects within ourselves that we need to heal. So you feel whole. So working through everything you need to work through so you'll feel whole. So what do I need to look at? So why am I feeling empty? So I need to work on myself, and I need to fill myself up so I don't feel empty. And I don't feel empty now, but I remember going through years of a wanting and a wondering. And I knew there was a bigger plan. I just knew intuitively that, the whole, and there's nothing against marriage, but the whole construct and what they had us do and how you had to do it. And if you're miserable, how much you have to do to go get out of it. And then you're even afraid to get out of it. Some people, I chose to go a route of basically being in a marriage but being alone. So in alone, I say independent, and worked on myself. So I didn't wait for my other half to raise his frequency. That's up to him. And rightfully so, it's up to all of us to do our own work and raise our own frequency. And in doing so, getting back to, I worked on myself for a lot of years, and just when you think you're done, sometimes more stuff comes up. So I wasn't looked at as as the norm, and it was more of an unconventional, and even abstaining from and having abstinence is what I have done for several years in order to get to the core of me. And I'm not saying I'm there, I'm 100% there. I'm just saying that I feel what's happening on the planet is that in working on ourselves, and we need both parts. We need the male and female within ourselves, and we do need the divine masculines also to try and be doing the work also. So when you do come in union or together with someone, you don't have you come in as whole, so you don't have a lot of baggage, and it's more of a freeing. I'm not saying that you go ahead and have like some people do, you turn out a swinger or whatever, but it's more you respect the other person, you honor them, but it's not in that old way. You get to the altar, obey, and all that. And I happen to have, been in a situation where, if you're not being reciprocated and you're doing all the work, there's an unbalance there. So I had to look in and say, okay, where have I, how do I want to do this? Where do I want to go with this? What do I need to work on? Because love is the only thing, getting down to the brass tacks, so to speak, love is the only thing that's going to heal the planet. Not our leaders, not the politics. Those are all distractions. I don't pay attention to the news, and there's nothing wrong with that's what you choose to do. I just find it's a waste of my time, and it takes away distraction from me working on what I need to work on. Because, no relationship is going to work until or work as well. I'm sure you can make it work until you do the inner work. Until you do the inner work and work on what, what triggers you, what bothers you, because it all comes back to the self. We can't look to somebody else to fix that for us, because we're the ones that need to fix it for ourselves. And in all of that is that getting together and being, you're emanating love. So if you've done the work and you mainly love yourself and know that you're worthy of love. A lot of us are brought up, I got a pure message when I was younger. I never felt loved as a child. Is that my parents' fault? Not necessarily, because they probably never were loved as a child, or never were shown love. So, but getting back to the beginning, everything comes back to us doing the work. We can't sit back, wait for somebody to save ourselves, somebody to come in and fix everything. We have to do it. And I know that I had a experience the other night where, and it makes sense because, these controllers don't want people to be in union. They don't want people to be happy. They don't want love on the earth. They want everybody, as we've noticed the patterns, they want to, they like war. That's their answer is to let's declare war. Not talk anything out, not communicate. That's the way, and that's, and our ancestors, a lot of them were that's how they came in too. So it's not their fault, but healing the ancestry past, it can begin with us right now, healing our ancestry. So we can help future generations that are coming in, even though they're coming in very, very more in tuned. And it's getting better. It's getting much better. But we need to get whole within ourselves. So this dream I had, getting back to the controllers, I'll be honest, I'm not very, very favored. I can be very targeted. And that's a long story to go into, which I'm not going to go into. So I got information that no matter what I do, I am not going to ever have that in my life, have a connection or have union with someone. So what's interesting is I was shown, and this goes back to what I've seen happen with me, and it happens with a lot of people, is I was shown that there are comments, or a comment. For an example, they showed me that, okay, here's some flowers, and they were really pretty flowers, and a comment, and they said directly, you will never see them. Now, okay, that's a strong message, all right, but am I going to sit back and go, okay? No. They do not. This is the problem, is they're losing their power. There's a lot of us that are strong. Most of us, we have the power, not them. They don't want you to have the power. So then you're going to have subliminal thoughts. You're going to have dream, examples like that telling me, no, you can't, And I do know that I do get censored, and I do, have, and I'm sorry if I don't, get people's comments, because sometimes I don't. So I can't respond if I don't get them. I used to get notifications. I don't get notifications anymore either. So, it can be aggravating, but we cannot let them or any of that negative get to us. We need to fight back and realize we are powerful. We are divine feminine. We are divine masculine. We got lost along the way, maybe forgot a lot coming in, but we are starting to remember. This is the whole, everybody has to start, remember who you are, remember how powerful you are. And in doing that, obviously, we overpower them, so they don't have the power. So that was a strong message that I had gotten. And in people that, are friends that I know, they're going through the same thing. It's just you have to realize that it's okay to say no. I was brought up, no, you don't say no. Oh, no, you didn't see that. Or I was told how to be. So it took a lot of years for me to butt against my handlers, so to speak, and say, no, this isn't me. So it's like peeling, it's going back to the snake. I mean, my daughter has a exotic gecko, and it sheds its skin. It's disgusting, but it sheds its skin and then it eats it. Ugh. But anyway, and then I'm sure, so it's symbolic of we're shedding the old. And right now it's really important that we do that in going forward. And that's, with love and being whole within ourselves. So we're not shaming others. It's like the accountability has been zilch. It's been completely zilch to a lot, even the controllers. Any of them. I don't know, call them Draco, call them whatever you want. It still comes back to us. We can't blame all them. It still comes back to us and really raising our frequency. Everything's frequency. Everything is frequency. So, if this doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't, and that's fine. I'm just sharing from my experience of what I've had to go through and what I've experienced. So, I've had to be mindful. I've had to spend a lot of time alone, which is fine because that's what you want to do, because you want to get to know you. If you have a hard time being by yourself, then I would take a look at that and maybe take baby steps. Get out in nature. But like I said, it's coming a time where it's going to be very powerful and it's a very exciting time. I have to say all the work that I have done and how things have evolved and done within myself and how I see the evolution on the planet, we got this. We really got this. But like I said, it comes back to us and doing the work. And if you don't know how to start, you can always seek someone out that will help you start. But it basically is getting quiet within, and you'd be amazed at the answers you get and what you can discover about yourself. And I mean, just when we come in, we don't just get traumatized while we're here. We come in with trauma. And I had 2 brothers that were killed. And there's a lot of people that had brothers that were killed, parents that were killed, wrongly, very wrongly. So am I going to sit there and be angry about that the rest of my life? I had to heal. I had to, I had to. I did what I had to do and I still do what I have to do, because I'm not going to give up. So I think I probably said enough. I didn't want to make this video too long, and I think you all know what I'm talking about. So I just say, just keep on going, and that's all you can do. Is just do the best you can. And I think we'll see things turn around, but you can't wait on anyone or anything to turn around. And like I said, with the timeline split, I felt it. It happened with the Schumann resonance the other day. We jumped a timeline. And that's why right now I feel things are so different now. And you're not going to find that sometimes, what you liked before, you're not going to like before. What people you resonate with, you don't resonate with anymore. And they're just going to drop off because they can't stay in your frequency. So, and instead of looking and go, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Or why don't they like me anymore? We need to look at it as frequency. Everything is frequency. And people make their own choices of where they want to be, frequency-wise. So, anyway, I hope some of this helped. And I could keep talking for hours on this subject. We need to just get whole within ourselves, so that way, I call it getting comfortable in our own skin. Some people just will never get comfortable in their own skin, and they don't want to. So, it isn't fun going through the trauma, going through the work, looking at things, and being attacked left and right energetically. That happens too, being attacked through people, through get your dream state interrupted because you get attacked. And then there's great aspects. You can get great messages, but just keep going within and trusting you and choosing you. Don't wait for, us divine feminines, we can't just wait for divine masculine to come in us and doing the work. It helps them. It helps everyone. When everybody does their own work, it helps the evolution of the planet. So we want to remember love. And I spent a whole year and a half or whatever trying to reprogram myself from somebody that I should not have listened to, or like I said, I lost myself. I went outside of myself. Big lesson, but everything is a lesson. And then you learn it and you figure out what you need to do and move on. There's no right or wrong. And I think we need to get to neutrality and still point. Drop down the heart when you start questioning or thinking there's something I've done wrong, or, in doubt, drop down into your heart and get centered so you can transmute that energy. Alrighty, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day and night. Thank you for listening. Alrighty, bye.